Welcome to this training on the Power Foods Lifestyle approach to acid reflux. We will be discussing GERD, which is gastroesophageal reflux disease. Acid reflux, very much the same, slight difference, but we're going to treat it the exact same way. So hopefully you've already been exposed to the Power Foods Lifestyle baseline, and that is going to help you understand a lot of these techniques. How prevalent is GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease, or acid reflux? 44% of Americans have heartburn at least one time a month. 25 to 30% have acid reflux on a weekly basis. That's very prevalent. This is the third leading drug prescribed, any acid blocker. It's the third most expensive condition for insurance companies. So many doctors ask, are we asking why? What is the cause? That's what functional medicine does. We look for the root cause. We look for what is causing something rather than treating the symptom. Of course, acute onsets is difficult and it's hard to manage and it causes discomfort. But as we get clear on what is causing this, the body always has a reason it's reacting in a certain way. So here are some potential causes. Now the list is quite extensive, I'm going to warn you. So remember, you need to be the detective of your own body. My hope is that as you are living a Power Foods lifestyle, which is no one-size-fits-all approach, the Power Foods lifestyle is a system of principles that you get to try on and fit which ones work for you so that it empowers you. My hope is that as you get the baseline down, it's going to knock out many of these potential causes. That's going to help you get that much more diligent about identifying what is the actual root cause. Fried foods, trans fats, all of the different oils used, whether you're eating from a taco truck or the fried food on the beach or the restaurant, the fast food, anything like that, we want to be very, very careful of. Spicy foods, that's a huge exacerbator. Processed foods, anything with, again, hydrogenated vegetable oils, partially hydrogenated vegetable oils. We want to look at the labels for any soybean, canola oils, even peanut oil. Alcohol can be a huge cause. Caffeine, smoking, tomato-based foods. So even if you are living a Power Foods lifestyle, you'll want to start looking at the recipes you are choosing from the recipe books, or based upon our Power Foods list, we want to eliminate the tomato. Citrus foods, same thing here. Look at your Power Foods list and eliminate those citrus foods. The grapefruit, we won't be using the lemon, the lime, and again, it's something you're going to have to test. Eating right before bed, that's more of a lifestyle. Overweight, of course, whenever your stomach is bigger, that's going to push a lot of the of the sphincter. Chronic stress, breathe before eating. Food sensitivities, things like gluten and dairy, bacteria or yeast growing in the stomach, or eating a lot of sugars. This could be potentially many, many things here. And so if you're looking at this, I'd like you to choose 2 to 3 that jump out at you as very prominent in your life right now. And let's get really focusing on those 2 or 3 things for the next 14 days as you are continuing to work on those other basic principles of the Power Foods lifestyle. Things like anchoring, getting your power fats in, choosing the complex carbohydrates, getting your meal portions, your timing down. Dr. Mark Hyman, who is the director of the Cleveland Clinic and a #1 best seller for on the New York Times bestsellers list, he said acid blocking drugs cause increase in pneumonia, bloating, overgrowth of bad bugs in your gut, and they prevent mineral absorption. You need acid in your stomach in order to absorb your food. So we can see this is a big time problem. So what can happen is we get a magnesium deficiency. Remember that magnesium is one of those magical minerals that feeds into over 300 enzyme processes. It also helps to relax a lot of the slow movements in the body, the muscle movements, the things that happen in the autonomic the system, everything that happens on an unconscious basis, things like your heartbeat and your digestion. There's so many things that you're not consciously thinking about and it just happens. And so magnesium is going to feed into so many of those things. But if you get a deficiency, that's a problem. B12 deficiency, that can actually cause depression, memory problems, neuropathy. Zinc deficiency. So what may happen if you've been on acid blockers for a long time, these would either be good things to test But by the same token, I personally, within my scope, have never seen a problem from proactively taking a moderate amount of these vitamins and minerals to supplement. Other things that you can begin to do. The whole problem is that the notion that there is too much acid in the stomach, which is why it's coming up and it's causing pain, is actually reverse. The research is stating in the functional medicine world and naturopathic medicine that there is too little acid. And so here's a suggestion to get in some acid through this apple cider vinegar. And hopefully you know by now here at Body Buddies, you've got to use the kind that has the mother, that cloud of probiotics. So I have the apple cider vinegar soda replacer drink. It's on the Body Buddies YouTube channel. Hopefully you've already been exposed to that. If you have not yet, please go over to the Body Buddies YouTube channel and type in ACV soda replacer drink, and that will just kind of show you. But here's the recipe. Basically, in 16 ounces of water, you will put 2 tablespoons of apple cider vinegar, 2 packets of stevia, and of course you can do that to taste. Most people I have found need that little edge taken off the very acidic taste and the feeling, the burn. And so sometimes even 3 packets within that 16 ounces of water, and either an 1/8 teaspoon of cinnamon or an extract would work just fine. And it's really delicious. This has gotten so many people off soda, but this is very helpful to drink, especially before dinner, so that you are getting that acid in your stomach. Many people who come to me and we're getting them started, I have them drink this once in the morning, once early afternoon, and again about 30 minutes before dinner, and it makes a big difference. Next, our Power Foods Lifestyle strategy is going to be 6 basic P's, 6 V's, 3 carbs. And here's the thing, this is a starting point. If you've already figured out your strategy and it's fewer carbs or more carbs than that, that's fine. This is just assuming that you need a starting point in the Power Foods Lifestyle strategies. This is an 1,800 calorie start point. I will show you a few different ways to make this happen, but hopefully you are really engaged in the Power Foods Lifestyle enough to the point that you are able to construct your own strategy, or maybe need to consider doing the PFL Academy for the first time, or as a repeat, going back through particularly weeks 1 through 6. All right, so let's review peak ranges. Each of these acronyms has a representative range. Now, that doesn't mean that each meal you eat, you're only excluded to these things. This just gives us, this is the baseline standard for us understanding a portion of these macronutrient groups. So, assuming you were eating 1,800 calories, then if you were to hit those same 6 P's, 6 V's, 3 C's, and how many F's do I have here? 6 F's, then that's what a potential breakdown could be into 6 meals. Now you could redistribute those carbs into different meals. You could have double F's, but I prefer not to see double C's combined, but every meal does need to have its anchor of a PV. What if you only need to do 5 meals? Well, that means you still got to get in all your nourishment, which means you just borrow those acronyms and you package your foods slightly differently. Notice each meal still has a PV anchor. Each meal is going to have an energy of a fat or a carb or both. You don't see any double C's here. That's great. 4 meals a day. So we're combining up to be double P's. There's some double V's here. There's no double C's, and it's great and wonderful to have double F's. That's always just fine. If even you get into quadruple F's, that's just fine too. The only time I really would want to see double C's is if it's male or it could be female, but it's for like high level athletes, people who have a really high glucose uptake due to their high activity level. And then if we get down to 3 meals a day, I prefer you get into intermittent fasting style and not just do breakfast, lunch, dinner. It will be more effective for you to fast until either 11, 1, or 3, and then experiencing an 8-hour eating window. You eat 1 meal and then 4 hours later, then 4 hours later. So you would be either, if you're type 1, you'll not diabetic, type 1 intermittent fasting in the Power Foods Lifestyle, you eat at 11, 3, and 7. If you're type 2, you eat at 1, 5, and 9. Or if you're type 3, then you eat at 3, 7, and 11. And it's all based on what time you go to sleep. What you can do, we've already discussed the apple cider vinegar drink. You can clean up foods from your diet. Again, hopefully you are already doing great work with the Power Foods lifestyle. But even within that, look at the seasonings you are using with spicy foods. If you are doing kimchi, get the mild kind. And remember, for our gut building, I would prefer you do kimchi, sauerkraut, anything fermented. That's something we want to do once we have eliminated a lot of our exacerbating factors for what's feeding yeast and bacterial overgrowth. And so you may want to visit some of those videos to make sure you're doing that. But they're very, very good to feed the good bacteria. Again, citrus foods, clean up the fried foods, utilize indulgence meal strategy. If you're just like, oh my gosh, I have to have my Kentucky Fried Chicken, well, you need to use it either in a abstainer strategy or a moderator. But even then, that's a great stepping stone, but it's not the end all be all. Even the moderator strategy is not the end all be all. The end all be all is that you have the right strategy that works for you with the frequency of indulging in foods that are either A, causing exacerbation of symptoms, or B, those things that help you enjoy life. This is all guidelines to help you live a healthier, happier life. And so remember, nothing is just ambiguously set for you to adhere to a rule. Think deeper. Think, why am I needing to do this? And if you ever have questions, that's a great time to get on a coaching call with me. Tomato-based foods, use different recipes from the Power Foods lifestyle. Get rid of food allergens for 10 to 14 days. Our top food allergens will be your gluten and your dairy. The best way to do the Power Foods lifestyle approach to eliminating these, you can do my 10-day Power Foods detox, which will eliminate these foods naturally as I take you through PVF, phase 1, adding in complex carb, phase 2, and then toggling you between a PVF base and the carbs for phase 3, days 7 through 10. You can access that at powerfoodsdetox.com. Other things you can do: get rid of the triggers for a few weeks. Caffeine, alcohol, smoking. Yeah, that could be rough, but I want you to think about it. What would it benefit you to test and see? And here's the ironic thing. GERD can very closely be related with adrenal fatigue syndrome. Look at the caffeine, look at the alcohol, look at the smoking. Stress on the adrenal glands, because they're constantly needing to produce. If you're experiencing high stress, which is very closely related to GERD, then perhaps it really would be beneficial to dive in and address all of this at once so you can come to some solutions. Remember, your body doesn't just act up, it acts up for a reason. Our job is to minimize those things that are flaring us up and to learn and to adapt and to work on creating more homeostasis in our lives. Now, be careful not to eat right before bed. Your final meal of the day should be 2 to 3 hours prior, and so you may adjust some of our Power Foods lifestyle principles there. I never want you to be afraid of eating right before bed, and many people who are experiencing disordered eating and thinking, that's a principle that I don't want them to, pledge allegiance to unless there's a need to, unless you're experiencing that GERD during bed as you lie down and your stomach and the sphincters are in different position. Think about dealing with stress before you eat. How often are you just really getting through your day quickly and you're jumping from task to task? And so I need you to be present. I need you to stop. Take 5 breaths. 5 in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Hold. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Exhale. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Do that 5 times. Come present. Chew your food, enjoy, help just the eating process, which is a very natural human experience. Help it just be enjoyable. Help your body to process that. Here's another thing you can do. If you look at this photo really quickly though, digestive system, you've got your esophagus that goes down into your stomach. From there, the duodenum is the connection into the small intestine, and you've got the pancreas that's out there that's going to recognize if there's any need for insulin to be secreted so that it can help pull the cells out of the blood and into the cells. Your liver, your gallbladder, those are going to pay attention to if you've got to release the bile from the gallbladder. And so then it sends down into the digestive tract. So it's just very fascinating to look at what this is. And that sphincter from the stomach up into the esophagus, that's when that valve is opening, and that's where some food is coming up. And so you have acid in your stomach. Absolutely, that's going to be what causes the breakdown, the initial part of that digestion, and helping move things through. Another thing to consider then, if you have all this acid, is what's the portion size of your meat, and particularly what's the type of meat. So if you're eating a red meat, I hope it's grass fed. I hope that it's not very, cooked in tons of trans fats. So if you're dining out a lot, that could be it. But if you're making something from home even, how much are you chewing your food? If it's red meat, you need to chew it at least 30 times. You need to chew your food. Help your stomach and all of that acid to do its work efficiently and with it's more of a relaxed state. That's really what it is. Now, some supplements that you can be doing: licorice root or deglycerized licorice, or DGL, can be something helpful to try. You should already be doing 5 grams of glutamine as a regular Body Buddies tactic for helping build up the tissues, the gut wall, all of the lining in the digestive tract, etc. Try probiotics, but let me caution you, we don't want to here at Body Buddies do probiotics until we have staved off any yeast or bacterial overgrowth, which means for 2, 3, 4 weeks, we really need to have extremely reduced sugar intake, dairy intake, gluten intake, and really be getting into our power foods tactics and techniques and cleaning out and helping the body relax and bringing on that calm, doing a 10-day power foods detox 1 or 2 times. At that point, you would be in a position to then go ahead and take a probiotic. Probiotics feed the good bacteria, but they're going to feed bacteria. So if you have a bad bacteria overgrowth, that is not strategic to take a probiotic. Probiotics also should not be taken all the time. It should come in phases. 2 to 3 weeks, take it. Take 2 to 3 weeks off. Digestive enzymes can be extremely helpful, a B complex, anything like that. Magnesium, as we mentioned before, if you have a deficiency, but magnesium should be a regular part of your Body Buddies protocol. If you are an adult, 400 milligrams at night. This is not only going to help with any random muscle things like twitching or bruising, but it's also going to help with sleep. It helps with all of the stomach relaxing and any of that movement through the digestive tract. So magnesium is very, very helpful for so many things. Please make sure you are supplementing with this. It can be either liquid or capsule form. And zinc carnosine. Okay, if things are still not getting better, I do recommend some tests. If you have already been down the track of you've been living the power foods lifestyle, you've gotten the gluten out, you've gotten the dairy out, you may have some other food sensitivities or some other bacterial overgrowth that we need to be more aggressive with treating. So some recommended tests from one of my favorite doctors out there, and his tests he recommends, they're not all in-house, they're usually things that you can order and then they're test kits, but he gets you to the right place. So just go to his store and you can check out all the different home tests. But I mean, I really don't want you to see you spend so much money on a test until you've done all the groundwork of following the same protocol that I've just described and all the power foods lifestyle. That's going to be the 90% of any conditional foundation of what's going to make a difference. And so only at this point should we really dive into these extras, unless for some reason this just gives you that much more strength and knowledge to say, this is my issue. And then, then you go ahead and apply the things we already know you need to be doing. So it's up to you, but definitely go check some of those out if you feel that there is a deeper issue here, especially the yeast, bacteria, or parasites in the gut. Definitely need to do anything to get those cleansed. All right, if you are already in the Power Foods Lifestyle Academy, I'm so happy that you have watched this. If you are watching this and you have not yet done the 12-week nutrition re-education course, I invite you to take this life-changing experience to really not only create a lifestyle change, but to gain the knowledge to navigate this crazy nutrition and complex nutrition world with more ease and confidence. Until next time, power your body, 1 meal, 1 workout, 1 day at a time.